Many have asked what CH means, and that's my title. CH stands for Chief Executive Hempster. Being a hempster means we have fun, and we see hemp as a way of having fun in creating a new environment and a new way of living in our modern world. Aloha, my name is Steve Rose, and I'm president and CEH of the Maui Hemp Institute for Research and Innovation. Hemp is a member of the cannabis family. There are three prime members of the cannabis family: cannabis hemp, cannabis sativa, and cannabis indica. Cannabis sativa and indica are often referred to as marijuana. They are psychoactive, and they have one of the active ingredients called THC. The hemp plant itself has no THC in it, even though some people say it's 0.5. We're pretty convinced it's just about zero. You'd have to smoke a telephone pole of hemp to even think about getting high, and that's just physically impossible. We here on Maui are moving into the new world. Our agriculture here has basically been based on a plantation economy formed back in the 1800s. Sugarcane and pineapple were the main agricultural export crops from Maui up until maybe 10 or 20 years ago. With the change of global economics, the Philippines has taken the pineapple industry. The sugar industry is not profitable anymore due to shipping costs and many other reasons. So the sugar industry is now shutting down here on Maui, which was announced a few weeks ago, which leaves 36,000 acres of available land. And everybody's been talking about hemp. Hemp is one of the most complex pharmacological plants on the planet. One of the prime agricultural uses of hemp is for soil remediation. One of the fun things that a hemp plant does when it's put in the ground is it starts to pull all the heavy metals and toxins out of the soil. And that even includes heavy metals that contain radiation. There was huge hemp plantings at Fukushima. Hemp is kind of like one-cell algae. Even though it pulls up the radiation and the heavy metals, somehow it digests it. So when you actually process the hemp is not full of radiation and heavy metals. Just like algae can consume things and become food. This is one of the nice things about hemp. It also has a very good root structure, so when it's planted, it begins to break up the soil. We can't wait to get the hemp in the ground because we have a lot of pineapple fields which are basically hard pan, and we know that planting the hemp there will actually break up the soil and begin the first stage of remediation so we can actually get food in the ground. Hemp has thousands upon thousands of uses which have been identified, everything from agriculture to batteries to foodstuffs, and we hope to basically make it part of our move to sustainability here on Maui. The main part of the plant that's used for food is the seed, and the seed is pressed for hemp oil. Hemp oil is high in omega-3, 6, and 9. Unlike fish oil, where you only have omega-3 and have to take a lot of it for the omega-3s to work, the hemp oil has a balance of 3, 6, and 9, and we need the 6 and 9 for our body to absorb the hemp oil. Hemp protein is now basically the #1 protein. It's easy absorbable by the body. You're not dealing with animal dairy products. I've been eating hemp foods and hemp products for decades now, before they were popular. Hemp foods are exploding, and just more and more hemp foods are coming down the line. Some of the other major uses for hemp, one of them is in building materials. The common form is what's called hempcrete. It's 3 times stronger than concrete, far superior insulation than any other insulation, non-toxic, and also doesn't mold. And in an island setting where we live here, mold can be a major factor with wood and things like that. So having a building material that not only can you grow, but that's mold resistant is pretty awesome. One of our issues is we import a large percentage of our food, some say over 90%, but we import 100% of our building materials. So to be able to grow building materials here, hemp is also used as a biofuel, making biodiesel gasoline, so cars can be run off of hemp. The resins from hemp are similar to those resins used in fiberglass or shellac. So we can't wait till our surfboard makers can make Maui surfboards out of hemp with hemp resins on them. Hemp plastic, by the way, is biodegradable, and you can make water bottles, and everything you make out of resin, oil plastic, you can make out of hemp plastic. Hemp has a very interesting history. It's been traced back and found in tombs over 20,000 years ago. Hemp has come to the rescue of our country here in America many times, the first of which was in the creation of America. One of the key battles of the Revolution was the Battle of Georgetown, where George Washington had Cornwallis's troops up against the ocean, about to be defeated, and the British sent their fleet down to rescue their army of the South. If the army of the South had been rescued, the combined British armies probably would have defeated the Americans. But to the saving grace, the French fleet sailed in between and the British fleet turned away. When we did research, we found out that The French had lost all their sources of hemp, and you can't have a sailing ship in the 1800s without hemp. Over 60 tons of hemp went into a sailing ship. Sails, rope, and even the corkage, which goes between the beams to hold the ship together, was all made of hemp. And at that point, the French had been getting hemp from the Caribbean, but they had lost the Caribbean. They had been getting it from India, but they had lost that to the British. So the last source of hemp that the French had was America. George Washington grew hemp. Thomas Jefferson smuggled in some of the first hemp seeds to America to start our hemp industry here. People in America were actually taxed hemp. You delivered bales of hemp as part of your tax payment. Hemp in those days was used for clothing, used for cordage, rope, everything possible. And especially for the navies, which, for trade and defense, our Constitution was drafted on hemp paper. The Declaration was drafted on hemp paper. Benjamin Franklin's first printing press used hemp paper. Hemp came to the rescue during World War II. The Japanese invaded the Philippines, which was the last source of hemp for the Western world, because we had lost our sources in India and other parts where hemp had commonly been grown. We started growing hemp again here in America, and there was a short film that's called Hemp For Victory. We actually started growing it here in Hawaii, and all the farmers were pressed into service to grow hemp. Everybody likes to say, well, Mr. Bush never would have been president because he wouldn't have had the parachute that saved his life, because that parachute and the rope was made of hemp. Hemp was banned back in the 1930s as part of a conspiracy, for lack of a better term. Mr. Hearst and Mr. DuPont. Mr. Hearst controlling large tracts of trees and wanted to use paper for his newspapers instead of hemp paper, which was the common thing at the time. Mr. DuPont had developed a new way of processing cotton, so he wanted to get rid of hemp because cotton was the new clothing material that he wanted to move across. So basically they started the reefer madness phase, where hemp's cousins, which is commonly referred to as marijuana, indica and sativa are the strains, but they didn't ban marijuana, they banned cannabis, which was the master family, so that took hemp out. In America, we really pride ourselves in innovation, and we haven't done anything with hemp in over 100 years, so I personally can't wait until we can let American ingenuity go crazy with the hemp. Once we let some innovation go, one of the biggest breakthroughs right now is looking at battery technology. Microfibers and batteries, which have always been a problem, are now being researched and possibly can be made of hemp, which would change things around. We can do solar here, but we can't store the energy. We have all the resources here on Maui to create many, many industries. We see hemp in the next 10 years being a billion-dollar industry here on this island alone, a multi-billion-dollar industry in the state, and hundreds of billion dollars on the mainland and the rest of the world. As things like petrochemicals and everything, plastics are being replaced by hemp. So the future of hemp is bright and big, and we can't wait to get our hands on it. Hemp is going to be a way to introduce new sustainable crops that use less water. Hemp uses less water than sugar does. Water is not an issue on this island. Pipes are. We have 35 million gallons a day that goes into the ocean. We just don't have the pipes or reservoirs to hold on to it. Hopefully with the new innovation, and we can even make pipes out of hemp, using hemp resins, we can put in the infrastructure to actually get a lot of that water tapped into our smaller farms. People love to come to Maui, so what a better place to create a center for hemp research. We're hoping to have our big Hemp Fest during Hemp History Week this year in June to kind of tell the world that Maui is here and we're going to be the center of hemp. We want to bring people here to visit our wonderful island, and hopefully by next year we'll have some hemp growing here that I actually can see it. We're very positive about our legislation getting passed, so we're hoping by June that the governor will come and sign the hemp bill. Our organization is also looking to put together a building fund. We want to build a real state-of-the-art institution to research the plant itself, both agriculturally and medicinally, to study the active ingredients. We're looking forward to having an educational center, a library, a museum, and with the recent end of sugar being grown here on Maui, we think the opportunity is wonderful. We know many companies will be coming to Maui to take advantage of our wonderful growing environment to grow hemp, and by having a research facility on island, we think it's going to really add to the total growth of the hemp industry, not only in America, but the whole world.